The exile begins. The council chamber was vast, filled with alien voices that echoed like thunder. At the center stood the representatives of Earth. Silent and tense, they had waited for this day, hoping for mercy. But deep inside they feared the truth. The Galactic Council leader, a tall alien with silver scales, raised his voice. Humans have caused too much trouble. They are reckless, they are dangerous. They cannot be trusted among the stars. His words carried weight, and one by one other council members nodded. The final vote was clear. Earth was banished from the stars. The humans standing there did not argue. They knew words would not change the decision, but their hearts were burning, anger and sorrow mixing like fire and ice. Outside the chamber, messages spread across the galaxy. Earth has been exiled, the alien broadcast declared. They will no longer trade, they will no longer travel. They will be cut off, back on Earth. People listened to the news in silence. Families stared at the screens. Children asked questions their parents could not answer. Some cried, some shouted, some threw stones at the sky. To be exiled from the stars meant starvation, poverty, and death for centuries. Humanity had relied on galactic trade, on alien technology, on open skies. Now it was all gone. Cities began to collapse into fear. Factories shut down. Ships were grounded, energy supplies dwindled. Alien allies who once smiled at humans now turned their backs. Earth was alone, more alone than ever before. But even in the darkness, a spark remained. A small group of human leaders gathered in a hidden chamber under the old capital. They sat around a metal table, lit only by a dim light. Their voices were low, their faces carved with determination. "They think we are weak," said one. "They think exile will break us." "They believe we cannot rise without their handouts," said another. "But they have forgotten who we are," whispered the third. Silence filled the room until one of them stood. He placed his hand on the table and said, "If the stars have turned against us, then we will make our own path. We will build our own fleet. We will return stronger than before outside." The world still mourned, but whispers began to spread. In old shipyards, in dusty factories, in broken schools, people began to talk. "What if we build again?" they asked. "What if exile is not the end, but the beginning?" A young engineer named Daniel looked at the rusting skeleton of an old freighter ship. His father had worked on it before trade was cut off. Now, with his hands trembling but his heart steady, Daniel touched the metal and whispered, "We can still make it fly across the oceans." A farmer stared at the night sky. He thought of the stars, once open to humanity, now closed. He clenched his fist and told his son, "Remember this day they pushed us down, but we will rise again." The first months of exile were filled with hunger and despair. People lined up for food. Children went without medicine. Alien merchants refused to sell even basic supplies. It seemed Earth would crumble, yet humanity had always been strange in the eyes of the galaxy. When pressed into a corner, they did not break. They sharpened. They learned faster. They fought harder. They endured longer. Now exile was the corner that trapped them, and humanity was sharpening in hidden workshops. Old engineers dusted off forgotten plans in underground labs. Young scientists scribbled equations on walls. In abandoned shipyards, workers smuggled tools and fuel. They were weak, yes, but they were stubborn. And stubbornness was a human weapon no alien could measure. The Galactic Council believed humanity would fade. But humans had a history of rising when no one expected. Wars on Earth, disasters, plagues, each time, they had found a way to survive this time. The enemy was not on Earth. It was in the stars, and so their eyes turned upward, filled with fire. In one broken city, a captain named Elias walked among the ruins of his old fleet. He had once commanded human ships in peacekeeping missions. Now he had nothing but wrecks still. He placed his hand on a cracked console and said, "We will fly again, and when we do, the galaxy will remember us." The council did not hear these whispers. They believed the humans were finished. They laughed in their halls, saying, "Without trade, they cannot build. Without allies, they cannot fight." But they did not understand the human heart. They did not know that when humans are abandoned, they create. And when humans are broken, they rebuild stronger. The night sky over Earth was silent. No ships came. No travelers landed. No stars opened their gates. But in that silence, something was growing. Something the council would one day fear. The silence of exile was becoming the heartbeat of defiance. And in the shadows of Earth's ruins, humanity began to forge a promise. Never again would they kneel. Never again would they beg. They would build their own path, and when the time came, the galaxy would tremble at the return of the exiled. The exile had begun, but so had something else. Something even greater. A storm was coming, and it carried the name of humanity. Forging steel and fire, the exile had broken Earth, but it had not broken the human will. In the silence of abandoned shipyards and forgotten stations, sparks began to fly again. Men and women worked with bare hands, welding steel, hammering old frames, scavenging whatever they could find. They did not have alien resources. They did not have council technology, but they had something far more dangerous. Desperation mixed with determination. The first workshop was hidden inside an old mining station orbiting Mars. Its corridors were cold, its systems half dead, but inside, human engineers whispered and dreamed. Their leader, a woman named Commander Lina, stood before a broken hull and declared, "We will not wait for mercy. We will not beg for scraps. We will build even if it kills us at first." The ships they made were small and fragile, patched together with stolen alloys and recycled engines. They looked like rusted beasts unfit for battle. Aliens who spied on them laughed, calling them junk born from trash. But humans kept working. Their laughter only sharpened the fire. Young engineers tested weapons on asteroids. Rail cannons built from mining tools tore holes in stone. Fighters made from cargo pods darted like insects across the void. Every mistake, every failure became a lesson, and humans learned faster than anyone could imagine. Daniel, the young engineer who once touched the freighter's skeleton, now led a team that turned scrap into something terrifying. He looked at his crew and said, "Aliens think we are finished, but every bolt we place is one more step to proving them wrong." The galaxy thought Earth was dying, but in truth Earth was transforming. Hidden deep in asteroid belts, new shipyards were born, powered by stolen reactors, fueled by human stubbornness. Whole families moved into these stations, children growing under the glow of welding torches. They called it the Age of Steel and Fire. Still, fear haunted them at any moment. Alien patrols could discover their efforts and crush them. One night, as workers labored on the frame of a massive warship, alarms screamed alien scouts had entered the system, their ships hunting for signs of defiance. Panic spread. Mothers pulled children close. Engineers shut down lights, but Commander Lina stood tall. "If they find us," she whispered, "let them see what we are building." The scouts scanned the region. For hours, humans held their breath. Hiding behind shadows, finally the aliens left, mocking Earth's silence, never realizing what they had missed. The humans exhaled in relief, then returned to work with even greater fury. As the years passed, humanity's designs changed. No longer copies of alien ships, they created something new, something human. Ships built for speed, for precision, for raw power. Ships that did not just match alien designs but threatened to surpass them. A breakthrough came when a group of scientists uncovered an ancient blueprint, hidden in old digital vaults left from the first days of space travel. It was a design too advanced for its time. Abandoned and forgotten, but now in exile it was reborn. Daniel stared at the glowing lines of the blueprint and whispered, "This is not just a ship. This is a weapon the galaxy has never seen." From that blueprint, the first Colossus-class warship rose, its body stretched like a mountain of steel, its cannons the size of towers. When it finally launched into the void, even the workers cried in awe. Its engines burned so bright the dark sky looked like sunrise. For the first time since exile, hope roared louder than despair. But hope was fragile and danger was near. News of the Colossus leaked. A traitor sold whispers to the Council, and alien admirals laughed at the thought of humans trying to build warships. "Let them play with toys," one alien sneered. "Soon, we will crush their little fleet and finish them for good." But the Council did not understand. The Colossus was not just a ship, it was a message. Humanity was no longer crawling in the dust. They were standing, ready to fight. Inside the bridge of the Colossus, Commander Lina looked at her crew, their faces scarred by years of exile, but their eyes blazing with pride. "This ship is not the end," she said. "It is the beginning." Her words echoed through the halls, carried into the hearts of every worker, every pilot. Every child who dreamed of the stars outside. The Colossus drifted silently, its cannons cold, its shields untested, but the galaxy felt a shift as if the silence of exile had cracked, and something powerful was stirring in the dark. Humanity had forged steel and fire, and soon they would unleash it. The Council believed exile would erase Earth. The first clash, the Colossus drifted in silence, a giant shadow in the void. It was unfinished. Its systems still fragile, its weapons barely tested, but its very presence sent ripples through the hidden human fleet. Workers looked at it with pride. Pilots whispered its name like a prayer. Humanity finally had a symbol of hope, yet hope always draws danger. Not long after the Colossus launched, Alien patrols entered the system. 3 sleek destroyers, their hulls gleaming with council markings. They had heard whispers of human activity, and now they came to crush it. In the secret command chamber on Mars Station, alarms screamed, screens lit up with red warnings. Council destroyers detected, approaching fast, the voice cried. Panic spread. Engineers froze. Families rushed to shelters. But Commander Lena did not move. Her eyes locked on the display. "This is it," she whispered. "The moment we prove we are not broken." The humans had only a handful of smaller ships ready. Fighters built from scrap. Corvettes stitched from old freighters against the destroyers. They looked like insects facing dragons. Fear trembled in their voices, but no one retreated. Because retreat meant extinction, Daniel, now chief engineer aboard the Colossus, looked at his unfinished ship. "She's not ready," he said. One hit could tear her apart. But Lena's reply was calm. "If we wait for perfection, we will never fight. The galaxy will learn that even unfinished, humanity does not bow." The destroyers entered orbit. Their comms broadcasted across space. "Humans," the alien captain sneered. "You were warned, you were exiled, yet you crawl back like vermin. This ends now." The first salvo came fast, beams of light slashing through the dark. A human corvette exploded instantly. Burning like a star, screams filled the comms, but the humans held formation. Their small ships darted like wasps, striking from angles aliens did not expect. They fired rail cannons, crude but powerful. Punching holes in enemy shields, the aliens laughed at first, confident in their superiority. But then one of their destroyers shuddered. A human rail slug had pierced its side, rupturing fuel lines. The explosion ripped through its hull, sending debris into the void. The laughter turned into silence. "Did you see that?" a young pilot cried, his voice shaking with disbelief. "We can hurt them." The battle grew fiercer. Humans fought like cornered wolves, using every trick, every desperate move. Fighters skimmed asteroid fields, drawing the destroyers into traps. Mines made from old cargo pods detonated under alien hulls. Each explosion shook the galaxy's belief that humans were finished. Inside the Colossus, systems flickered. Alarms blared. Daniel's hands were covered in grease and sweat. "The main reactor's unstable," he shouted. "If we push her too far, she could tear herself apart." Lena's answer was sharp. "Then let her tear the stars apart with her." The Colossus powered its main cannon for the first time. Energy roared through its veins. Lights flared across its body. Alien sensors screamed warnings. Before they could react, the Colossus fired. A beam of pure destruction lanced through the void. It struck the second destroyer, cutting it in half like paper. For a moment, silence reigned. Humans stared in shock, aliens froze in terror. The unfinished ship had just done the impossible. But victory had a price in the chaos. A human pilot named Jonas flew his fighter straight into the path of the last destroyer's cannon. He had seconds to choose, and he chose sacrifice. "For Earth," he whispered as his ship rammed the alien cannon. The explosion tore through both ships, destroying the last destroyer but ending his life. The human fleet fell silent, grief mixed with triumph. Jonas's name spread through every channel. Pilots repeated it, engineers carved it into metal walls. His sacrifice became a beacon, the first human martyr of the Exile War. When the smoke cleared, only wreckage floated. 3 council destroyers lay broken, and against all odds, humanity still stood, damaged, bleeding, but alive. The galaxy heard the news within days. Aliens whispered in fear. The humans destroyed a council fleet. Others laughed nervously. Just luck, they cannot do it again. But deep inside, they all felt it. The old certainty was gone, the banished were no longer weak. In the hidden command chamber, Lena stood before her people. "Today we proved we are not prey," she said, her voice steady. "Today we showed the galaxy what exile has created. We are not finished, we are only beginning." And as her words echoed, the Colossus loomed behind her, scarred, battered, but alive, a symbol that the first clash had ended in human victory, and that greater battles were yet to come. The Council had wanted to silence Earth forever. Instead, they had awakened something far more dangerous, an empire waiting to be born, and the galaxy trembled, because it now knew the humans would fight and they would never stop. The wreckage of the first clash still floated in the void. Burning fragments of alien destroyers drifted past human stations like trophies of survival. But for humanity, this was not just survival. It was the spark of something greater. For the first time in history, they had stood against the Galactic Council and lived. The banished were no longer silent. They were rising on Earth. Children who once cried in fear now pointed to the skies with pride. In shipyards hidden under mountains and oceans, Workers labored with furious speed. Every death, every sacrifice fueled their determination. The name of Jonas, the pilot who gave his life, was painted on ship hulls as a promise. We will not forget. We will not stop. Commander Lena stood before her council of human leaders. Maps of star systems glowed above the table. Red lines showing patrols. Blue lines showing secret routes. We cannot remain in shadows forever, she said. We must claim the stars, we must forge an empire, or we will be hunted until the last of us falls. The others nodded. Fear in their eyes, but fire in their hearts. Thus began the age of expansion. Small fleets moved silently, building outposts on distant moons. Mining colonies grew in asteroid belts once thought useless. Humanity stretched outward like a storm-breaking chains. Yet they were not alone. In the cracks of the galaxy, other exiled races watched. Species abandoned by the Council, ignored and broken. They saw humanity's defiance and whispered, "If the humans can rise, perhaps so can we." One by one, emissaries came, strange beings with scarred bodies and haunted eyes. They offered trade, knowledge, and loyalty in exchange for protection. And humanity, once shunned, became a beacon for the outcast. An alliance of the forgotten began to form. Daniel, now chief architect of the fleet, stood before a massive new project. A ship even larger than the Colossus. The Council thinks we are still crawling, he told his engineers. But this ship will make them kneel. They called it the Leviathan, a warship with weapons that could shatter moons. But building the Leviathan came with risks. Resources were scarce, spies lurked everywhere. Twice alien assassins struck at human leaders. Twice they failed, killed not by soldiers but by ordinary workers who refused to bow. Humanity's strength was no longer only in ships, but in its people. Every citizen had become a soldier of defiance. The Council grew restless. Reports of human fleets spreading through border systems filled their chambers. Admirals demanded action. Politicians demanded war. But some whispered in fear. The humans defeated 3 destroyers. What if they have more? Still, arrogance blinded them. Crush them before they grow, the Council leader declared. A task force was assembled. Larger than before, deadlier. They were sent to burn the human colonies to ash. But humanity was no longer the hunted prey. They had learned from every scar, every failure, every battle. This time they were ready. When the Council fleet arrived at a hidden mining colony, they expected panic, surrender, easy victory. Instead, they found silence. Then, from behind asteroids, the human armada emerged. Dozens of ships, sleek and deadly, corvettes, cruisers, and the Colossus at their center. Their hulls marked with scars of exile but glowing with pride. The aliens laughed at first until the trap closed. Mines detonated across the void. Human ships swarmed like predators. Rail cannons and missile barrages tore into alien shields, and from the shadows, a weapon never before seen was unleashed. The Nova Spear, a focused energy beam that melted through the flagship's armor in seconds. The battle was chaos, screams echoing across comms. Alien ships broke formation, unable to match human tactics. They were used to order, to control. But humans thrived in chaos, turning desperation into strategy. When the dust cleared, the Council task force lay shattered, and humanity still stood stronger than before. Word spread faster than light. The Council's fleets had been defeated again. The galaxy watched in awe and fear. No longer was Earth seen as weak. It was seen as something terrifying, something unstoppable. Back on Earth, celebrations roared. Banners of the new human empire flew across cities. Children recited the names of fallen heroes. Pilots swore oaths under starlight, and Commander Lena looked to the sky, whispering, "This is only the beginning." For humanity had broken its chains. They were no longer exiles. They were the architects of an empire, and every alien world felt the tremor of their footsteps. The Council had tried to erase them. Instead, they had given birth to something greater, an empire unchained, and soon, the galaxy would learn what it meant to face the rising storm of humanity. The galaxy had changed once. The Council had spoken with unquestioned power once. The name of Earth had been mocked and forgotten. But now every world whispered of the humans, of their armada, of their empire rising from exile. The Leviathan floated at the heart of the human fleet. Its hull stretched like a continent of steel. Its cannons glowed with power that could tear through planets. Around it, hundreds of human ships formed a storm of fire. This was no longer a fleet of survivors. This was an empire of war. Inside the Council chamber, fear cracked the voices of once proud rulers. Reports filled the air. Colonies lost. Fleets destroyed. outcasts joining the humans. If we wait longer, they will grow unstoppable, one admiral said. They are already unstoppable, whispered another. Yet pride forced their hand. We must send everything, the council leader roared. We will drown them in fire, and the name of Earth will vanish forever. And so, the largest armada in galactic history was assembled. Thousands of ships, a tide of steel and light. They moved through the void like a storm ready to erase humanity. Worlds watched in silence, some praying for the humans, others for their end, but all knowing that whatever happened, the galaxy would never be the same again. On the bridge of the Leviathan, Commander Lena stood tall, her eyes hard, her voice steady. They come with everything they have, she said, but we have something they will never understand. We fight not for pride, not for greed. We fight because we were told we did not belong. We fight because we were banished, and now, we will show them what exile has created. Cheers erupted across the comms. Pilots, engineers, soldiers, every voice burning with fire. The humans were not afraid, they were ready. The two armadas met above a dead star. The void lit up with explosions, beams, and firestorms. Council fleets advanced in perfect formation, but the humans answered with chaos. Fighters swarmed like hornets. Warships struck from impossible angles, and the Leviathan roared. Unleashing its full fury, its main cannon fired. A beam brighter than the sun cut through the enemy's flagship, shattering shields, tearing through metal. The explosion echoed across space like thunder. Alien admirals shouted in panic. They had expected desperation. Instead, they faced annihilation. But victory was not easy. Human ships burned. Fighters were torn apart. Heroes fell. Names shouted one last time before vanishing into fire. The cost was heavy, but every sacrifice only drove the humans harder. Every fallen ship became a torch lighting the path of the living. Daniel stood at the heart of the Leviathan's engine core. Alarms screamed. Systems threatened to overload. The reactor can't take this much longer, he warned. Lena's answer was calm but sharp. Then let it burn. If this ship is to fall, it will fall taking their empire with it. The final clash came when the council leader's flagship entered the battle, a fortress of unimaginable size. Its weapons unleashed storms that shook entire fleets, but humanity did not retreat. Every ship turned toward it, rail cannons, missiles, Nova spears. Everything fired at once. The Leviathan surged forward. Its hull cracking, its shields collapsing. Daniel screamed as the reactor went critical. But Lena gave the order, fire. The Leviathan's cannon unleashed one last shot, a blast so powerful it split the council flagship apart. The explosion consumed half the battlefield. Waves of light washing across the void, silence followed. Where once stood the proud armada of the council, only wreckage remained. Burning fragments drifted like stars across the dark. And in that silence, the galaxy trembled. The humans had done the impossible. Exiles turned empire, outcasts turned conquerors. The council's power shattered, its voice broken. On the bridge of a scarred cruiser, Lena spoke to the fleet. Today, we were no longer the banished. Today, we were no longer the forgotten. Today, we became the storm that will shape the galaxy. Cheers erupted. Tears flowed. The humans had not only survived, they had won, and now the galaxy itself belonged to them. Worlds across the stars lit fires in honor of humanity. Outcast races declared allegiance. Alien empires bowed in silence, because they all knew the truth. The reckoning had come, and humanity had risen above the stars. From exile to empire, from silence to thunder, the humans had forged their destiny, and the galaxy would never forget the day it trembled before Earth.